Brendan O'Neill summarised it really well. Bereft of solutions to knife crime, too cowardly to confront the rise of radical Islam, clueless in the face of a new culture of nihilism, our rulers focus instead on controlling the public response to such horrors. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're not actually dealing with the issue. They're trying to control the reaction to it. That's what they're doing. All their energy and effort is going into that, basically. And that's things, and it's also things that almost make me puke, like he announces he's going to spend £30 million on protecting mosques.
Yeah.
You know, our pensioners can't have their winter fuel allowance, but we can find £30 million to protect mosques against right-wing thugs, supposedly right-wing thugs, who don't exist.
No, exactly. And without having a conversation with the Muslim community about why do you think you're being picked on? Why do you think there's a backlash coming towards the Muslim community in this country? And we've not had that conversation, and we never do. So we'll have articles now about how Muslims feel, and we've got demonstrations on the streets, which I'm sure we'll get to, about Muslims protecting their communities, rioting, violence, we'll get all that. But where were the protests from the Muslim community on the gang rape of white girls? Where was the Muslim protests denouncing the 7/7 bombings in London or the Manchester Arena bombings? We probably got an email off a mosque somewhere saying this isn't proper Islam and we condemn that. Well, great, we got an email. There was no demonstrations by the Muslim community side by side with the other communities going, this is evil, this isn't Islam, we condemn. No, they're all quite quiet when it's their community. But God forbid something happens to their community and suddenly it's the worst thing ever. And every minority community in this country does the same. And the reason why they all do it is because we've taught them how to do it. And every time they've done it over the last 40 years, it's benefited them. So it's learnt behaviour.
Oh no, so what's happening now in the Muslim community? They're the victims of
Yes.
this. So we've gone from a position where three English kids are murdered.
Yeah.
Beautiful little English girls are murdered, to now the Muslim community being victims. They're scared. You know, they're scared, they need protection, whatever. Now, the reality is, just these numbers, and I sent these to you the other day, but I wasn't really going to cover this. In the last 20 years, do you know how many Muslims have been killed by right-wing thugs in this country?
I'd guess 0.
Correct.
Yeah.
Do you know how many...
And do you know how I know it's 0?
How?
Because if there was any, we would know their names.
Oh, God, yeah.
Like Stephen Lawrence, we would know their names.
Yeah. And Stephen Lawrence, you know, the reality of Stephen Lawrence is that was a horrific crime. That truly was a horrific crime that happened in London to that young man. And that is something that was not to do with racism. It was to do with gang violence in London, basically. And that is something that did get the attention it deserved, in my view. I don't know what your views are on Stephen Lawrence. I think it did get the attention. But you're right. No Muslims have been killed by far-right extremists in this country in the last 20 years. How many English people have been killed by Muslim terrorists in the last 20 years in this country, Nick?
I have no idea, but
100.
100.
100 people, including 22 in Manchester.
Yeah.
You know, so the idea that the Muslim community is terrified, they're scared or whatever, the stats don't even back that up.
No, well, stats never do. It's because we've told them they're victims, because that's how their leaders can control them. That's how politicians can get their votes. We make them afraid and then we tell them, but I'm here to protect you if you vote for me.
Yeah.
So we've done this to ourselves. Stephen Lawrence's murder damaged the UK more than anything in my lifetime.
Because it led... No, I think you're right. I think his murder was unconscionable and it was a horrific thing. What came from it,
was horrendous.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
That's hate crimes, laws, all that sort of...
Yeah. It was... That murder damaged this country more than anything. His mum's a racist. Can't stand his mum.
Right.
His friend he was with at the time was a scumbag, criminal. None of this means he should have been stabbed to death.
Yeah.
But almost every weekend now, a Stephen Lawrence. Well, almost every day in London, someone like a Stephen Lawrence has been stabbed to death.
Yeah.
We never hear their names.
No.
Why don't we hear their names?
Why?
Because the people doing the stabbing are never white.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if they were, we'd know their names.
Yeah.
So we only heard about Stephen Lawrence because the
He was
criminals
white,
were
man. Yeah.
white people. And it was a horrendous crime. But the Muslim community bring a lot of this upon themselves, just like all the minority communities do. They've played this game for far too long because it was beneficial. The Muslim community didn't come out when the 3 girls were stabbed. And the reason why they didn't come out is because they weren't sure if a Muslim did it or not.
Yeah.
When I heard that crime, my automatic reaction was, I bet it's a Muslim.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why wouldn't I think
Even
that?
the Muslims thought it was
Yeah, but why wouldn't I think that? Because nearly all sick, violent crime in this country is committed by a Muslim. So therefore, my experience living in this country the last 20 years has taught me that. It turned out to be a black African, so as far as we know now, Christian at the time.
Well, we've heard very little about this character, haven't we? We've heard very little about
Hence why
whether
we have
he's been
been
radicalised. Was he a Muslim?
Yeah.
Was he radicalised by Muslims? We don't know.
We don't know.
We're hearing nothing.
Yeah. So the Muslim community brought a lot of this upon themselves by keeping themselves separate, by playing race identity politics, because it was beneficial. But I've been warning for a decade, you've got to be careful about poking the bear. When you're something like 6% of the population, you don't want to annoy 85% of the population. And all minority communities have been doing this for a long time now. And this, what we've got this last week, was always inevitable. But the Muslim community should be doing a lot more, a lot better. They should be standing up, because all of them and their parents and grandparents came to this country for a better life, because their Muslim country was a shithole.
Yeah.
So they should have come here and kept their religion, because that's a private matter, but they've not integrated, and they've then made other people afraid because of their terrorism. Did you enjoy that video? I think you did. Come on now, hit that bell, subscribe, comment. Let's build this channel. I need more followers, I need more subscribers. Be part of the journey. See you soon.